Hello, pre-algebra. All right, now today what we're going to talk about are square roots. So, what in the world is a square root? Well, notice this keyword square. All right, so let's think about a square. I have a beautiful, perfect square. Okay, I'd say that's pretty darn close. And let's say my side lengths are 4 and 4, right? Every side of a square is equal to each other, so every side of the square has a length of 4. What is the area of my square? Well, area is the side length squared. So here our sides are 4, so 4 squared would be my area. Well, 4 squared is 4 times 4, which is 16. Right? So the reason we say 4 squared is because what we're doing when we take the square of a number is exactly what we do when we find an area with side lengths, that number. So if my had another square, say this one, and it had side length 2 and 2, well, the area would be 2 squared, which is 2 times 2, which is 4. All right? So that's where squared comes from. But we're talking about square roots. So what the heck is a square root? I like to think of square roots. So square root. The way I think about it is it's the opposite of squared. Whoops, my handwriting's getting bad. The opposite of doing something squared, or the second power. Okay, it's the opposite of doing that. So with the second power, we go, okay, we have a number, we multiply by itself 2 times, and we get an answer. I'm just going to use 16 as an example then to work backwards. Okay, if I have 16, to write the square root of 16, write it like this. I'd say that the square root of 16. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to think of two numbers that multiply. I'm trying to think of one number where it multiplies by itself twice to get 16. All right? Well, I know 4 squared gives me 16, so my answer would be 4. All right? It's a little bit confusing, but that's what a square root is. It is the opposite of doing squared. So let's think of another example. Well, we'll just use this. The square root of 4. So if you think about this in terms of an actual square, when we have the square root over it, we go, okay, if my square has an area of 4, what are its side lengths? Well, they'd be 2, because 2 times 2 will get me 4. So square root of 4 is 2. What about square root of 25? Right? I can think about this with the square again. If I have a square and it has area 25, what are my side lengths? What times what? Okay, they have to be the same number, will give me 25. Well, 5 times 5 is 25. So the square root of 25 would be 5. Right? So that's what a square root is. So I'm going to take you through some examples, and these are a little bit trickier, but I want to go through these right now before you were to get them, say, in your homework. All right, so for these examples, this first one, we have a rational number or a fraction under a square root. So what we can do with a square root in fractions is I can apply that square root to the top number. So I do the square root of 4 over, and then I apply it to the bottom too, the square root of 25. All right, well, square root of 4, what times what gets us 4? It has to be the same number. Well, 2. 2 times 2 gets us 4. And 5 times 5 gives us 25, so that would be the square root of 25. And there's our answer. All right, this next one. So this sign right here, a plus sign over a minus sign, we say that as plus or minus. So it could be positive or negative. So we have plus or minus the square root of 81. Okay, we can't get rid of that plus or minus, so that's going to be part of our answer. All right, what number times itself will get us 81? Well, 9 times 9 is 81. So it's 9. So our answer would be plus or minus 9. This next one, now we have something squared. I have 2 over 3 squared. So this squared actually, just like this one up here, where it got applied to the top and the bottom, this gets applied to the top and the bottom. So I'm doing 2 squared over 3 squared. Well, 2 squared means I multiply 2 by itself twice, so 2 times 2 is 4. 3 squared, I do 3 times 3 and get 9. And that would be my answer. All right, these last two. You might think these are equal, but they're not. All right, so this one here, negative, and then I do 3 squared. So what this is telling me is I am going to do the 3 squared first. So 3 times 3 is 9. All right, and then I tack on the negative. Okay, I do the squared first, then the negative. On this one though, I'm doing negative 3 itself squared. So that would be negative 3 times negative 3. They have the same sign, so my answer would be positive, and then I do 3 times 3, which is 9. So notice how these are different, okay? Remember that where your negative sign is placed when you're taking a square matters, right? So for your homework, I would like you to do page, I believe this is page 63. Yep, 63. I'm going to walk through a couple with you quickly. Right, so I'm going to do number 1 with you. So we have a square, and we have dots in it, right? So this diagram shows that blank is the square of blank, and blank is the square root of blank. All right, sounds kind of confusing, but it's not too bad. All right, so what we have is there's 3 dots on one side, 3 dots on the other. So the area of this, or how many dots there are, would be 3 times 3, right? And 3 times 3 equals 9. Or 3 squared equals 9. So the diagram shows that 9 is the square of 3, right? We do 3 squared, and we get 9. And 3 is the square root of 9, right? We have an area of 9, so each side is 3. So our square root is 3. So do the same thing for these two. And then I just thought I would do 4 and 5 with you guys. You'll notice that in the beginning, a lot of these are related, so I just want to go through them a little bit with you. So number 4 here, 5 times 5 is the same as 5 squared, which is 25. And so now what they do here is they take it in the opposite direction. Now we have 25, and we're taking the square root of it. Well, 5 times 5 gives us 25, so the square root of 25 would be 5. All right, so looking at this, you're going to see some fractions, you're going to see some decimals even, negatives, plus or minus, some bigger numbers. All right, so if you guys have any questions, just email us, but make sure you come with this page 63, if I could get it on the screen, page 63, completed for class. All right, guys, I am going to awkwardly again end the video here. Maybe.